Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm thrilled to invite you to a Q&A on the sofa with me, Jess Interiors, to have a chat about all of the questions you've got about renovating your own home or any queries you've got about interior design and the process. So let's dive in. And Sarah, I hear you've got lots of questions for me.
I do indeed. Okay, first question. What does an interior designer actually do?
Wow, okay, that threw me. So an interior designer is there to make your house a home. So when I'm asked to come into a house, it's often a shell, and we're interior designers, so we will play with the interior architecture of the space, we will play with the walls, we'll bring in features, we'll deal with spatial planning, we'll deal with all the colours and the textures, down from the 2D design to the 3D to then finalising the exact finish of your home.
How do I decide on a style for my home?
Oh, you're killing me today, guys. Good questions. I love this question. Okay, so deciding a style is actually really difficult, especially if there's a few of you in the house. So quite often I find, especially in my own home, husband and wife, we never have the same taste. And then you've got your children to think about, or you've got your pets to think about, or you've got your mum living with you, or you're on your own and actually you're fighting lots of different styles you like within your own head, and that's also quite difficult. So my advice is to start with Pinterest boards, any imagery that you see on Instagram, Google, anywhere. And I would start collecting those to create a mood board, and I would stylize them on each page, otherwise you'll have a complete collage of different tastes and styles, and that will overwhelm you. So try and focus on putting them onto a page each, and then you need to make a decision. You need to choose the style that's right for you. Bearing in mind, those styles, when they're actually finished, will become your style. You're never going to find your perfect style out there. You're going to create it for yourself, but you need to start somewhere and be inspired. So get that mood right, choose your concept and get them onto paper, and you'll eventually choose the perfect one.
How do I create a luxurious feel on a budget?
Okay, luxurious feel on a budget. Okay, make wise decisions. So when you're selecting your products, if there's something you love, wait for it, save for it, and get the product that you absolutely love. And when you want to make a real difference, use accessories. So for example, if you're doing a living room, invest in the cushions, get the cushions right, and you can layer it. And lighting, because lighting can make or break a design in a room. So I would invest in dimmable lighting, so whether that be a dimmable chandelier, dimmable pendant, it's a real tongue teaser that, dimmable pendant, dimmable chandelier, dimmable lamp. Make sure you get the mood light, because actually ambience lighting can make a real difference on a budget.
How do I choose the perfect colour for a room?
That is a juicy question. So you need to nail down your style for that house. So don't skip a stage. You've got to nail down that style first. And by doing that, you'll know whether you want to go bold, whether you want to go neutral and timeless. And then once you know what palette you're going with, you test those colours. So for example, if you're going moody, you need to decide if you're going to go with a warm green, whether you're going to go with a terracotta. Terracottas are really good for a downstairs living room or a kitchen. The moodier greens are quite good for a bedroom, or if you're going to go neutral, then you need to decide if you're going to go with a warmer palette or whether you're going to go with the more greige, as we're calling it nowadays, or the fresh whites. And once you've chosen that palette, you need to test the colours. So for example, I was asked the other day actually about neutral colours. So for example, Little Green do a really good one called Rolling Fog. I always go to Select Lime. That's a really good colour for a more neutral palette. And then for the blues, there's things like Hague Blue, there's Drawing Room Blue, which is actually very bold. You need to be careful. I'm trying to think of other colours off the top of my head. You really hit me with a question. The greens. We did a green not that long ago. What green did I use? Borrington Green by Little Green. That was a good one. That was for a kitchen. Yeah. So you've got to nail down your palette, because I could go on for a long time about colours. So you need to nail down your palette, and then you need to test them on the wall, because light will come in and bounce off the wall very differently in every house. So whites are an interesting one, because you can go white. So things like Strong White by Farrow & Ball has got a hint of grey, but it's still very, very fresh. Or you can go with Jane's White, which is a lot warmer. There's so many different whites. I mean, it's like 50 shades of grey when it comes to whites. Yeah. So you do need to test them. You do need to work out whether you want to pick up the warmer hues or whether you want to pick up the cooler hues, and bounce it off with somebody. Honestly, you can do a test patch and bring somebody in that you know that has got a good eye, to make sure it's somebody with a good eye, because you can get bad advice, and test it and see what colour works the best for your home, because don't go to someone's home and go, I want to borrow that colour, because it will never look the same in your home.
What's your most memorable project and why?
Okay, that's a very good question. I actually can't answer that because all my projects are memorable and they all tell a story. They all hold a very special place in my heart. So I'm not answering that question because they're all very special. What I will tell you is my most memorable moment on a project. Now, we've got many, and actually, how would I ever pick? Because there's so many funny ones. It's actually ridiculous. But one of my best was when I was looking for a slab of stone for a project, and don't think I really knew in my heart what I wanted, but I knew I wanted something really special, and we had all our concept nailed out. I knew what the style was, but I wanted something really special. And I drove up to a yard and they were putting away a slab that looked pretty beautiful, but nothing like wow until my headlights were shining through the stone and it lit up all the veining. It was the most beautiful moment that happened just naturally because I was driving behind it and the lights were just shining through from my car. And then I found my moment where I found my piece. And it's literally like a connection that happens. So if you don't find the perfect piece for your home, whether it be a sideboard, a lamp, a vanity unit, you were asking Mum earlier for a vanity unit, my mum's just popped in. And when you do find the right one and that connection happens and you go, that's the one, and you're no longer questioning yourself, that's the one you buy. Don't buy any until you have that connection. It might mean you take a really long time to finish your home, but it's worth the wait. It's worth the wait.
What's your personal design style? Has it changed over the years?
Oh, that is interesting. Definitely. Yeah, I think I always said I didn't have, as an interior designer, we tried not to have a specific style of the brand because we design for the homes of our clients and the people. And I think my skill is reading people and reading what they need, even if they don't know what they need. And then I think potentially I lost my own style because my home is a mix of products that I've tested and tried, and I've created products and workshops, and our team of our upholsterers have made furniture for me. So it's ended up being a collaboration of it. And I think within that, I've created my own style. I'd say very neutral with a timeless look, but with a pop of color. I do love a pop of green. I've definitely moved on from those sort of greys and whites, and I'm now much more of a warm palette. And I love a creative product, so I will always try and make sure that I've got that timeless and homely feel within my home, but with then a product that will be never thought of, so a creative twist. I'm quite individual, I like a quirky. For example, I picked up a piece of stone from a stone yard that was on the floor and about to be chucked out, and I renovated it, put it into my cloakroom on a chest of drawers that I'd collected that was 18th century, had the waste for my sink cut out of it, this piece of stone put back on top that was polished with a lighting sheet glowing, and then this hammered silver bowl on top. So yeah, I've got quite an eclectic style, I'd say.
What's an affordable design trick you use a lot in your projects?
Oh, interesting. Affordable design trick. It's going to come back to lighting again. So in a bathroom, quite often will hang a mirror on a batten that's been painted into the wall, and I will wrap LED tape around that batten so that you get a soft glow behind the mirror. I love that as a little trick, and that's quite affordable. I also quite often will hang a piece of marble creating a box on a wall with LED light around the waist, and that glows, and just put a basin on top. That's very simple, and that's quite a nice little trick. I also put mirrors in most rooms in order to reflect light, as they will make the room feel bigger. Candles and diffusers and plants and cushions, all those affordable accessories are really important to make a house a home, because layering those little additions in are quite important. So even if you've got a neutral room, a green plant is going to make a big difference. What's
a design trend you secretly can't stand, and what's one you love?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, I've got to be really careful how I say this because I'm quite often requested to do this. I don't like making feature rooms. So for example, somebody might say, right, the design trend at the moment is blue, so I want the blue room, and the design trend at the moment is purple and I want the purple room. I don't like just following with trends so specifically that room has now got a name and that you've got a different room for a different style because that's now the trend. I like to make sure that every room flows and that it's timeless, and if there is a design trend, you do it within your accessories so that it can change. I think design trends can change so quickly, so you need to be really careful how you do it. It's always good to be in trend, don't get me wrong, but there are some timeless ones, like fluting has been something that's been around for a while as a trend, and I still think that's quite timeless. Whereas in with the green, you do everything green, you're slightly restricted to that. So do the green as a complementary accent rather than everything that green. I mean, painting a room is pretty easy to change, so don't worry about the paint colour. But if you do it really bold in like a sofa or a bed, you really need to love it and stick with it, and try to make sure your rooms flow. You can have a moody room, you can have a statement room, but to have every room completely different is going to be quite hard to live in after a while. So, and one that I love. So Forecrete is a really good one because it's recently come in as a real statement trend, and actually it's really practical as well because Forecrete is completely waterproof. But you can also do these textured wall, like line washing, bow work. These textures that you can bring in are actually, whilst a trend, very timeless. So I do love making sure that you do a feature finish in order to make sure that you bring depth into the room, but I think that will stand the test of time.
What are 3 things you have in your own home that you'd recommend to everybody?
Well, that's quite tricky because I've not finished my own home because I'm working on all my clients' homes, so I never get to finish my own home. 3 things that I would recommend to everybody. So textures are really important. So a textured ottoman with then a hard table that overlaps it, so you've got somewhere you can put your drink, and then you've got your soft area to put your feet up. And what else would I recommend? I've got a log burner and I love my log burner. So having either a gas fire or a log burner, somewhere that you've got a focal point that gives warmth, is really important in a living space. Do you know what I absolutely love? Is my wood flooring in my office, because it's really warm on foot and easy to maintain. I really love my wooden plank.
What is the most common mistake people make when designing their own interiors?
Not planning it is probably one of the biggest ones. It's very easy to be inspired by a product when you see it in a shop or a store or in someone else's home and go, that's what I want for my house, I'm gonna buy it. But if you don't consider it with everything else in the room or the plan that you originally had, remember that concept board you created to create the style, if it's not considered alongside that, then you're gonna go off on a tangent and you're gonna have a very disjointed space. So look back at the original plan of the concept board, plan the layout, because the layout's really important. So it goes concept board, the 2D layout of how you're going to place that furniture. Then you're going to do, we would then go into 3D, but you don't need to go into 3D. You can, for yourselves, go into all your textures, your finishes. So whether you're going to put in, what's the sofa fabric going to be? What's the carpet? What's the wood floor going to be? Get all of that together so that when you choose your pieces of furniture, it all works together.
What's the difference between an interior designer and an interior decorator?
Ah, okay, this is actually quite a good one. Okay. Quite commonly thrown around, the two, and quite commonly confused. So interior decorator, very important, chooses all the finishes and textures and colours within a room, so within the walls that they're already been given on a project. So whether that be a house that's already been designed in terms of the architecture, whether it be that the client doesn't ever want to move any of the walls, but they just want the internals to be chosen and decorated. So the design is handed to them and then they finish that design with all the textures, colours and finishes. Whereas an interior designer will actually work with the shape of the room. They will deal with all aspects of the project. So the project management, the choices of all the finishes, the 2D planning, the 3D planning. They will either work with an architect, or we've actually got an architect in-house, so we can all work together in order to be able to create a seamless home. So slightly different in terms of what's involved. Did that answer the question?
It did, and that's all.
Oh my gosh, it's a wrap! That was so much fun. I loved it. We should do more of these.
We definitely should.
Oh, okay. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed it and we can do this again soon. I think it'd be really good for us to bring in some of our specialists, and whether that be trade specialists, so it could be our stone suppliers, it could be our bathroom suppliers, could be the lighting designer, which I definitely think we'll bring in after speaking about that today. So we'll start bringing more of those in. So if you've got anything you want to hear about, please comment about it below. I want to hear everything you want to know about interior design, and I'm really excited to answer your questions again soon. Thanks for joining.